Michaelia Cash, thanks for your time.
It's great to be with you, Andrew.
Okay, so this PBS announcement, now we actually heard about this a month ago, didn't we? I guess this means it's later than it was scheduled because it dropped into a couple of budget speeches, so that was a bit of a stuff up, wasn't it?
Look, this shows why you need a strong economy. It shows why the responsible economic management of the Morrison government is able to deliver this important announcement for the Australian people in what literally is $150 million that Australians will save each year to take $10 off the cost of a script for Australians. That's the benefit of a strong economy. The contrast with Labor, they did not have a strong economy. For a government to stop listing, for a government to stop listing medicines on the PBS, that is just a fundamental failure.
But strong economy, interest rates are going to go up. We've got a lot of inflation, real spike in inflation coming. Nearly $1 trillion debt. Strong economy.
It is a strong economy, and in particular when you look at the international comparisons. We have just come out of 2 years of a global pandemic. You look at March 2020, Treasury was saying unemployment in Australia could go as high as 15%.
Sure.
But because of the policies that the Morrison government put in place and that were responded to by employers out there, we backed the resilience of the Australian people. And as you and I sit here today, unemployment is at 4%. That doesn't mean Australians aren't still doing it tough. They are. But that's why when you look at the budget we brought down, we respond to that with our cost of living measures now, but we also have a plan going forward.
How do you feel about Labor doing its launch in Western Australia?
Oh, please. The mere fact that you touch down on Western Australian soil does not mean that you support Western Australia. The fact that Anthony Albanese is prepared to campaign with Kevin Rudd, neither of them are friends of Western Australia. Again, judge them on what they did when they were last in office, in a position to actually do something. What did they do? They imposed a mining tax on our most profitable industry here in Western Australia. They forgot about us when it comes to infrastructure. They are no friends of Western Australia.
Have you been weakened though? Have the Liberals must have been substantially weakened by the showing in the state election? You've just got a lot less resources behind
so
you.
The state election,
you're quite embattled here. Does that?
Yeah, no, I'm going to disagree with you there because I think people know that the federal election is a choice between Scott Morrison, strong economy, stronger future, and the end is Mr Albanese. Never brought down a budget, never held a national security portfolio. Two of the fundamental things that you need out of your leader is an understanding of finance and an understanding of national security. The choice there is clear. But Western Australians also do understand Mark McGowan is the Premier of our state. The day after the federal election, Mr McGowan will still be the Premier of Western Australia.
Can you save the seats that are at risk here? There are perceived to be 2 or 3, but mostly 2 in Swan and Pearce at risk. Losing them would certainly be a big step towards Scott Morrison losing office. Do you think they can be saved?
Absolutely, because I look at, again, what is the clear choice? The clear choice between Scott Morrison, the stronger economy, and a plan for our future versus. But I also look at what has Scott Morrison done for Western Australia. He is a true friend of Western Australia.
All right. What's your view of the demise of Christian Porter and how he was treated, how the ABC reported that story?
I fundamentally believe in what I hope all Australians believe in, and that is you are innocent until proven guilty. The day that we give away that as a fundamental belief, well, you just can't, can you? Because that is fundamental to our legal system and fundamental to our democracy. I was very sad to see Christian Porter go. He was a fantastic Member of Parliament. In saying that, though, he has made that decision. And we now have a sensational candidate in Linda Aitken, a clinical nurse. How fabulous is that? And someone who's a councillor out of the city of Wanneroo.
All right, I just want to ask you about IR, this better off overall issue, and you're not continuing to pursue that.
No, and I've made that very clear. Despite what Labor are saying, and you've got to love a good Labor lie because that's what it is, we will not be pursuing any changes to the Better Off Overall test.
But what would business, a small business and Liberal supporters say to that? I mean, wouldn't they say, what does the Liberal Party stand for if you're not going to pursue that type of reform?
Well, in the first instance, I would look at what we have tried to pursue when in government, and in particular in Western Australia. This again resonates with Western Australians. Changes to the EPBC Act to ensure that we have a one-touch system for approvals. That is something that Scott Morrison set up with the National Cabinet. The National Cabinet, including...
But I'm asking about IR.
No, but this is a really important point, because what that would have done is got rid of a lot of red tape here. What that would have done, because Mr McGowan has called for that, he wants Scott Morrison to do that. And do you know who's blocked it in the Parliament? Anthony Albanese.
Do you have a plan to lift wages, or does doing that have its inflationary risks?
The way you grow wages in Australia is you back employers. It is your employer that gives you a wage rise. It is your employer that ensures you have a secure job. We've got unemployment down to 4% in Australia. You get more people into the workforce. That obviously means there's competition between you and I for a job, and you have that natural upward pressure on wages. And that's why the policies that we put in place, we're unashamed by it. We back Australian businesses and the resilience of the Australian economy every step of the way. They provide the jobs. We provide the policy framework.
All right, we're nearly out of time, but just a couple of things more I wanted to ask you about. Religious freedom is one. Is that dead? Because it was you just couldn't get it through your side.
No, it's absolutely, and we were obviously devastated that we couldn't get that through, because the ability to practice your religion without discrimination is just fundamental to our democracy in Australia. And the Prime Minister has made it clear, and he has written to faith leaders, if we are given the privilege of another term in office, we will bring forward the Religious Discrimination Act, but we'll bring it forward as a stand-alone act. That is our commitment to the Australian people.
All right, I wanted to ask about the March of the Independents.
Yeah.
It seems like this has every bit as much risk in terms of throwing you out of government as the Labor Party. What's your reaction to this phenomenon? Yeah,
and look, and what I'd say to Australians is they're not real independents in the first instance. You can't have a group of people who come together under the collective banner of Climate 200, who are incredibly well funded. And in particular, you know, when you look at the Independent here in Curtin, funded out of the eastern states. Western Australians don't like being controlled by the eastern states. That's not a true independent. You look at the record of the independents who are currently in the Parliament, they vote with the Labor Party in the majority of times. They're not true independents. But also, given where we've been as a country, given where we're going, the impact of COVID-19, where we now want to go to, the last thing we need in Australia is independence, because all they'll provide is chaos and instability. Having to negotiate your agenda every single day, an agenda that the Australian people vote for, does not provide stability in government. So what I'd say is, not true independence. They've come together under a very well-funded banner. But what will they honestly bring to the Parliament? Chaos and instability.
Well, just on that, if you are in a hung Parliament situation, and I'm about to talk about a bill that you are in charge of, you may have to move on federal ICAC, mightn't you?
Yep. Look, we've made it very, very clear. We have a bill, as you know. The bill's been out there for many years. We would have introduced our bill, but for the fact that the Labor Party opposed us every step of the way. We have made it very, very clear. If we are re-elected to office, we have a mandate to implement our Commonwealth Integrity Commission.
But what if there's a hung Parliament?
Well, again, Andrew, at this point in time, what we are doing, you've seen the Prime Minister out in Tasmania today, he does not stop. He is out there campaigning for majority government. Just
finally, I wanted to ask you about Rachelle Miller.
Yep.
Now, she got this payout. We know it's more than $500,000. We still have no clarity as to why she received this money. The suggestion's been made it's nothing to do with Alan Tudge. She also worked for you, and I think made complaints about how she was treated by your chief of staff. Is it in relation to that? Do you know? Is that the reason she got the money?
This is actually a matter for the Department of Finance.
Sure.
I actually myself have not had briefings on it. I don't know.
You don't know yourself?
No, I don't know myself. So that is a matter for, as you know, the Department of Finance works arm's length from government. So I genuinely cannot provide you with any further information.
What do you think
that.
of that whole saga?
I think that we've learnt a lot from the last 2 years, and I think that in terms of what my role as the Attorney General was, in particular to bring forward changes to the Sex Discrimination Act, they are incredibly positive changes. I think that working with Kate Jenkins and what we're implementing in terms of the Jenkins review, everybody should go to work every single day feeling safe. It doesn't matter what industry you were in. We could talk about the Australian Building and Construction Commission, and Labor's promised to abolish that, but that's not the question you've asked. I think that going forward, the Parliament will be a much more positive place. We've learnt a lot, and we will implement the appropriate pathway forward.
Michaelia Cash, thanks for your time.
Great to be with you.